sustainable rural communities.
Although South Africa is lagging behind other African countries like Nigeria and Kenya with general internet usage, the latest South African social media landscape reported that rural South Africans are quickly catching up to their urban counterparts in as far as social media is concerned. For more about internet and rural development, we are talking now to Dederick Venter, Director of Sales and Marketing at Atlantic. Dederick, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Tabo.
Nowadays, a lot of emphasis is put on the availability of fast, affordable and reliable internet. Why so much emphasis?
Tabo, it's all about sharing of information. I think the globalization that's happened over the last couple of decades makes it important for us to be able to access any information at any time.
Are we seeing the curve going down in terms of the pricing though? Is it becoming more affordable?
In South Africa, I think we can still go a long way with the reduction of prices, but it's definitely more affordable.
In terms of rural development itself, why does internet usage become such an important thing?
I think if you're in a rural area, you do not have access to all the information and all the services that you have in the cities. And through the internet, you have a medium to actually get access to whatever information you want, whenever you want it.
In terms of the reliability aspect, why is it important for one to have reliable internet access?
You do not want to wonder if you have access to the internet or not. It must be available whenever you want it, wherever you want it.
In terms of internet access itself and the usage of it, how does it differ when you look at urban South Africa and rural South Africa?
There's a major difference, and it's all about the accessibility to different types of services. In the rural areas, you have access to mostly wireless services, where in the cities you have access to fixed lines. And it's important to have that type of access, unfortunately limited in the rural areas. The speed, coverage areas, etc. Where in the cities you have such a big choice, you can choose between any of 10 or more different service providers.
Is this the trend looking even internationally in rural parts of America, for example?
Not in America. They've gone a lot further than we have. They've developed where we've only been developing the GSM networks for the last couple of decades. They actually have access to fixed line, cellular services, multiple wireless services, as well as satellite.
And how do we fare compared to other countries who are usually compared to us, I mean like Brazil, India and China?
If you compare with India, for instance, 2 years ago they had 67 million internet users at a penetration rate of 5%. They're now on 111 million at 9.5% in 2 years. That's massive. We haven't seen that growth in South Africa at all. Then we also have in Brazil, they have a total of 67 million users with a penetration of 39%. In South Africa, we are on 14% penetration at 6.6 million total users.
So that's still quite a long way off. In terms of the technologies that are available, I mean, you mentioned in the States they've got your cellular technologies, they've got a wide array. How are we doing and what do we have currently in South Africa?
We currently, I think the biggest coverage is currently with GSM networks, the 3G service that most people know, but there's also lately been satellite services that was announced and released, Ka band services, not a mobile service, but a fixed wireless service that provides excellent throughput, and that will be perfect for schools, etc., in the rural areas.
There's been talk of 4G. Are we going to see that anytime soon?
We'll definitely see it soon. I think we were the victims of our own success. We rolled out our networks before most of the African countries did, so they could go to the next level, to 4G, where we stayed on 3G. There's actually services available already. I think LTE is the next big thing, but the networks also need to manage their networks. They have anything between a 20 to 30 year return on investment on those networks, so it takes a while to recover the cost.
Now, in terms of developers in rural areas, what would be your advice in as far as infrastructure is concerned, affordability and reliability?
I think the fastest way we can roll out into the rural areas and get the biggest impact is to go with satellite services or specific wireless links. Wireless links, we've tried with a number of different investors in South Africa, and it hasn't really worked. So I think the best solution for us currently is to get satellite services in and then distribute those services locally.
Now, in terms of people in rural areas getting connected quickly and in an affordable way, what is your suggestion?
I think that the easiest way for most rural users is that they do not have access to a computer, and mobility is key to them. And in South Africa, we have millions and millions of cellular users. So I think the easiest way is to get them onto cellular usage or data on their cellular devices. And that's actually the trend. If you look at the South African breakdown, 6.6 million users, of which only 800,000 is on fixed line ADSL services. And that is the trend. If you look at the growth, it's also in that mobile space.
Dederick, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tobe.